So you might start by settling in. And as you do so, see if you can sit and attend as if it really mattered how you sat and how you attended. And I don't mean as if it mattered to somebody out there who may be watching and observing and evaluating your sitting and your attending, but as if it mattered to you personally, as if what you are about to do for the next few minutes is the most important thing to do for the next few minutes. And if you need any motivation in this direction, consider that you are about to spend just a little bit of time attending intently to the experience of your life, moment by moment, to the experience of being you as it arises, moment by moment. And then consider how little of this you do on any given day. And so perhaps find your breath and attend to it as if it was the only breathing that you had, which, incidentally, it is. Notice the automatic tendency to confuse attending with controlling and improving. And then see if you can simply follow your breath from the very moment it arises in your awareness, whether that be by way of sound, as in the sound of your breathing, the sound of air passing, or by way of felt sensation of air passing through your nose or your throat, or the rising and falling and movement of your abdomen and chest. It doesn't matter which of these points is the most salient to you or which one you decide to focus on, but choose one and focus on it and see if you can follow it from the very moment it arises in your awareness, all the way through to the very moment it vanishes. And if your breath happens to be shallow and short or deep and slow, see if you can leave it be as it is. Depending on how you got here, you will probably have had experience working with different objects of practice and working with different spaces of awareness. You will probably have worked with attending to your breath as a way of training concentration and clarity. You may have worked with the space of seeing, hearing, feeling, or all three. In today's practice, we are simply going to bring everything together and attend to the entire experience of you being you, moment by moment. One of the important things to realize before we go into this is that every moment of experience, in fact, every experience, is made of a combination of sensory inputs. We have sights of the world around us. We have sounds of the world around us. We have feelings, physical sensations in our body, tingles, warmth, pressure. But at the same time, and in the same corresponding spaces, we have sights of mental imagery. We have hearing of mental talk or thoughts. And we have a different flavor of body sensations that we call emotional body sensations. Usually some sort of a pressure around your diaphragm or around your throat, around your eyes, prickling in your ears. These 6 streams of sensory inputs in various combinations make up every single moment of your life from your subjective point of view. And in this practice, we are going to begin learning to attend to our life as such and sharpening our tools and skills of concentration in being able to focus on the arisings in our awareness, and our skills of clarity in being able to discern and distinguish the different avenues of sensory inputs. But before we do that, let's take a quick tour of the spaces we will be working in. We will begin by attending to the space of seeing. And so reset in your posture. Find your breathing. And with your eyes open, simply see. Realize that as long as your eyes are open, or as long as you are conscious and you have a visual capacity, your space of seeing is filled with whatever there is to be seen. You can try to assume a more passive gaze, the one that takes in the whole field as opposed to detail. And then let your vision move around from thing to thing, from detail to detail, and then back into the passive gaze. And realize that each of those moments of seeing something is an instance of seeing. And note it, by which I mean focus on that one instance of seeing. And if you want, you can label it to yourself as seeing. And now, without closing your eyes, I want you to bring up a mental image of an apple. It doesn't have to be a very good mental image, as in clear and vivid. It's fine if it is. It doesn't matter if it isn't. But I want you to realize that even with your eyes open and with the visual field present as it was, the mental image is also there. You might try with a different mental image, such as that of your desk or your keys. It doesn't matter what. Just realize that this other space of seeing, the space of mental imagery, exists in the same place as the space of seeing the world around you. And then realize that there are other images that show up automatically, move around, fluff about, change and vanish to be replaced with something else. And each time you notice a new mental image or a changed mental image, that too is an instance of seeing. In exactly the same way as when your visual focus moved from the chair to the table to the window. Just seeing. Note it. Attend to the visual image. Label it if you want and let it go. This is what the inside of your head looks like, curiously enough. Pay attention. Seeing. Give it a few. Now, without closing your eyes, move your attention to your space of hearing. Some people find it helpful to imagine moving their attention physically to the space around and between your ears. And simply attend to the sounds of the world around you. Depending on your circumstances, there may be lots of sounds or not very much at all, but there will be something. And whatever there is, realize that as long as you're aware, your space of hearing is full of whatever there is to be heard. And each new sound that you hear, or a different aspect of a sound, that's an instance of hearing. Simply note it, focus on it, and if you want, label it as hearing. And now for the somewhat trickier bit. In this same space of hearing, there are also being heard things that aren't sounds from the world around you. You're hearing things in your head too. This is what we call mental talk or thoughts or hearing in. See if you can spot any thoughts arising. And yes, the thought, I'm currently trying to spot any thoughts arising and I'm finding nothing and hearing nothing, is a thought that you have just heard. That's an instance of hearing. Simply note it. And if you want, label it hearing. The more you do this, the more you will begin to hear how much internal talk there really is. And the more you attend to it, the clearer it becomes. But for now, realize that this is what the inside of your head sounds like. And as far as you and your subjective point of view of life is concerned, this is what life sounds like. Attend. And now gently move to your space of feeling by simply attending to the physical sensations that are present right now. I tend to find it easiest to start with the felt pressure where my body meets the floor beneath me, or the tingling and the warmth in my hands. There may be a sensation in your feet, around your face. If there is a breeze, you probably feel it on your skin. How about the feeling of your clothes touching your skin or your shoulder? All of these are physical body sensations. If you want, you can do a quick body scan, top down or not. It doesn't matter. Just attend and realize that each of these sensations that you notice is an instance of feeling. Attend to it closely for a moment and let it go and move on. And if you want, label it feeling. And now notice that within this same space of feeling, there exists a different flavor of body sensations that somehow feel internal, emotional. This is what we call emotional body sensations. And they usually show up somewhere around your abdomen, somewhere around your diaphragm, your chest, your throat, clenching of your jaw, tension in your shoulders, your eyes. There may be a lot of this going on for you right now, or not very much at all. The more you attend to the space, the more you realize how much there is. And also the more you attend to, the more you appreciate moments where there is nothing. But for now, just attend. And if you spot an emotional body sensation, simply note that as an instance of feeling, just like the tingling in your fingers. And label it feeling. All right. And so now that we are good and warmed up, let's get to actual work. We're simply going to bring all of this together. The seeing, the hearing, the feeling, the outside and the inside, and attend to everything at once, as it were. Except, of course, our attention is generally somewhat limited and selective, and it doesn't actually attend to everything at once, but moves around from a seeing to a hearing, from an image to a sound, to a feeling, to an emotion. And all we are going to do is attend to these movements of our attention. And when we spot that our attention has landed on a mental image or is focused on an object in the world around us, we're simply going to note that, attend to it as closely as we can, and label it, out loud this time, as seeing. When we notice that our attention has become preoccupied with a piece of mental talk, or a sound, perhaps of the traffic outside, we are simply going to note that, attend to it as clearly as we can, and label it hearing. When we notice that our attention is focused on a physical sensation or an emotional body sensation, we are going to note it, concentrate on it, and label it feeling. We are going to say our labels out loud. We are going to keep a constant pace of labeling, not too fast, not too slow. It is not a bad idea to use your breathing as a sort of a metronome. Perhaps one noting and labeling per breath, or one per inhale, one per exhale. And though it doesn't matter much what it is that you are seeing, hearing, and feeling, in the beginning this content will guide you. You will know that you are seeing because you know that you are seeing the light bulb hanging from the ceiling. That's okay. Simply attend. If, when it comes time for you to check and note and label, you find that there is more than one space active at the same time, simply choose one to note and label. It doesn't matter which, and it doesn't matter how you make the decision. But if you find yourself engaged in a prolonged debate in this decision-making process, notice that this also is an instance of hearing, maybe even feeling. Note it and label it and move on. I will demonstrate really quickly what this sounds like and what a good pace might be in my own experience. And then you can take over. Seeing, hearing, seeing, seeing, feeling, hearing. Find a pace that works for you. Again, not too fast. You don't have to capture, note, and label everything. And not too slow. You don't want to drift off and indulge distractions. Say your labels out loud. Of course, if you're in a place where this is uncomfortable, don't. But if you can, it really helps. And keep your tone level and matter of fact. It's probably not all that useful to have your tone of voice reactive. Keep it level. Keep it matter of fact. And spend a couple minutes doing this. In your own time, off you go. If you find yourself bored, perhaps, or anxious or waiting for this session to finish, realize that this boredom or that anxiousness also is made of seeing, hearing, and importantly, feeling. What does boredom feel like? Where does anxiousness show up in your body? Can you find it? What are the thoughts that are convincing you that you are now bored? What is the mental imagery that is propelling your anxiousness to wrap this up? One important thing about this whole noting business is that you're not simply noticing, labeling, and moving on lightly. The point of noting is to concentrate and attend as closely as possible, such that the sensory experience you're attending to is complete and clear. This becomes particularly salient with things like mental imagery and mental talk, which are generally fuzzy, unclear, and unfinished. You will know that you are doing noting right when the mental image you're attending to becomes crystal clear, when the thought that is sort of shuffled through your mind is no longer a vague grumble, but an actual clear sentence. You might not get this first time around, but with practice, things do clear up. Keep going. One of the interesting things that you are doing with all of this intent noting and concentrating and labeling is in training a particular skill or capability and even a habit. And that is the skill of attending to one thing at a time. And if we consider that one of the goals in our training is an increase in functional baseline focus, which we can define as your ability to attend to whatever you deem to be the most important thing in any given situation, even when you are not trying to do so, this becomes quite clearly important. One thing at a time. And since we are attending to and doing things one at a time, we may as well make sure that we're doing so as if this was the most important thing, even just for a moment. Anyway, you have just done quite a lot of work, so perhaps take the last minute of this session to enjoy doing nothing. Drop all efforts and simply sit and be. All right, that's about enough of that, I think. Now, you may have enjoyed this session. It may have felt soothing and stabilizing to you. You may have really not enjoyed it. It may have been difficult and frustrating. Both of these are fine. Whatever your felt experience of this was, whether you liked it or not, your concentration was trained. The first time you do a practice like this, it tends to be a little bit all over the place, a little bit fuzzy. Things are unclear. Mental talk is vague, images fleeting, feelings especially undefined. But with practice, things do become clearer. With practice, your concentration and your clarity and your ability to attend without the push and the pull of judgment, of liking and disliking to whatever it is that arises as the experience of being you moment by moment increases. Remember, this is training. And so you may want to do this practice often, for a long time, or a version of it that suits better for you. You don't have to listen to me the whole time. And train and attend. And you may want to try to take some of this into your day whenever you remember or whenever you find yourself confronted by a confusing or overwhelming experience. Remember, as far as your subjective point of view is concerned, it is all in fact made of a combination of seeing, hearing, and feeling. And we will build from here.